So we're
here to
collaborating.
another meeting right
And then we'll
afterwards.
have a talk about
Good afternoon, or good evening, rather. Welcome to today's Academic and Facility Alignment Committee. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm really excited to see you all, and thank you all for being here with us. So what I'll do is call to order. Mr. Ombudsman?
Mr. Dare?
Present.
Mr. Cole?
Yes, here.
Mr. Bean? Miss
She's here too.
Ms. Caseline Turner?
Here.
Dr. Kellogg?
Here.
Ms. Kinney?
Here.
Dr. Levine?
Here.
Mr. Robertson?
Here.
Ms. Woodfield?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. So now we'll call this into order. Can I have a motion to approve our previous agenda?
So moved.
Moved and? Moved and seconded?
Okay, Mr. Dare?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Bean? Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Dr. Kellogg?
Yes.
Ms. Kinney?
Yes.
Mr. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
Ms. Woodfield?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Thank you all. So opening today's agenda, we will actually have a presentation done for us on pre-K and the programming with pre-K.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Oh, yes,
To
ma'am.
approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Yes, we do. All right, motion to approve minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 2nd meeting.
All right. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Dare?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Bean? Mr. Bean? Ms. Caseline Turner?
Yes.
Dr. Kellogg?
I was absent, so abstain.
Abstain. Ms. Kinney?
Yes.
Dr. Levine?
I was absent, so I'll abstain.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
Ms. Woodfield?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay, now, moving on to today's presentation. So today we'll have a presentation on pre-K, but also I'm going to open the floor after our presentation to have a discussion about changing the meeting date. Changing the meeting date. Mr. Williams sent an email out to everybody on what date would work best. We're looking at the weeks of the second week of the month and the fourth week of the month. Second week of every month or fourth week. Second week would be, the second week would be either a Thursday, the fourth week would be a Tuesday or a Thursday. But I'm open to whatever that discussion is going to be at the time we have it. All right, so we can move on with our presentation right now.
All right, am I controlling my own slides? Oh, okay, sorry. All right, I would like to thank you, Chairman Cole, and the Academic and Facility Alignment Committee members for allowing me to present tonight the awesome things that are occurring in early childhood, and it's the awesome things that are occurring in early childhood, and its alignment to the board goals and guardrails. As you already know, the state of reading right now is one of the major focus areas nationally. And here we have in 2021, Stanford researchers found the reading fluency among second and third graders in the U.S. was roughly 30% behind what was expected in a typical year. NAEP also revealed that in 2022, the average score for students was lower than it was in 2019. In 2022, students were also had an average score that was 32 points lower than students who were not eligible for free and reduced lunch. Black students had an average score that was 35 points lower than white students, and Latinx students had an average score that was 30% lower than white students in 2022. So this is setting the stage for the literacy crisis that we currently have. So what's the plan? We have the board goals, and today we're going to focus on the strengthening reading proficiency goal, board goal number 1. Our superintendent has identified several drivers to increase academic performance, and today we're going to look at the investment towards universal pre-K. I have a video that I'm going to share with you guys before I proceed.
Hello, and welcome to Columbus City Schools.
Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Columbus City Schools Early Childhood Education Program. The mission of our program is to provide a strong foundation for all students. Our program is comprehensive and accessible. The CCS Pre-K program meets the national standard of effectiveness. It is developmentally appropriate, and it provides comprehensive services in education, health services, social services, family, and community partners. Our goals are to strengthen the literacy, language, and math skills of students entering kindergarten. We want to increase pre-K participation to 100% capacity, increase family engagement, and become a national pre-kindergarten model. We will be able to accomplish this through our curriculum that is multisensory, culturally and developmentally appropriate, and aligned to both state and national standards. We have a variety of classroom options to meet the diverse needs of students. And all classrooms and all services are provided by highly qualified staff. Teachers, intervention specialists, instructional assistants, related services, nurses, and social workers. We look forward to collaborating with you to ensure that your students' first experience in school is amazing.
So what the research says about pre-kindergarten. Pre-kindergarten sets the foundation for future academic and social success. It is an equalizer in education, particularly for students from disadvantaged backgrounds. Children who attend pre-K are more likely to perform better in school, graduate from high school, and pursue higher education. Pre-K also helps reduce achievement gaps. I'm going to give some background about the early childhood education program in Columbus City Schools. The department was established in 1990, and the first pre-K classroom opened at Sullivan during the 1990-91 school year. The pre-K program merged with the special needs pre-K preschool in 2016. And I also wanted to share that the City of Columbus has approximately 12,000 children between the ages of 3 and 5, and CCS serves more than 2,000 pre-K students. Although we have approximately 4,000 students who attend kindergarten, so we can serve approximately half of the incoming kindergarten students. The current state. So currently we have more than 2,100 seats available in our pre-K classroom. Those classrooms are spread across 65 sites, and we have 130 classrooms. They're all highly rated with Step Up to Quality. So they all have a gold star rating, all of the ones that are rated. And we provide a continuum of services for students, least restrictive environment. So we have everything from general education classrooms to special ed classrooms of different models. So we have inclusion classrooms. We also have half-day classrooms as well as full-day classrooms. Staffing, we have about 74 general education teachers. All of those positions are filled. We have 62 special needs teacher positions that are filled. We do have 8 special needs teacher vacancies. They're currently filled with long-term substitutes, although they are engaged in completing their alternative licenses. They're at different points in the pathway, though. And then we have 3 general education instructional assistant vacancies currently and 1 special education instructional assistant vacancy. So I mentioned the Step Up to Quality. Many of you may be familiar with it. Previously, it was a 5-star rating system. It has since been revised, and it is a 3-level system consisting of a gold, silver, and bronze. And so if you want to look at the crosswalk between the previous system and the current system, the bronze would be the 1- and 2-star programs, the silver would be the 3-star, and the gold would be the 4- and 5-star. Before the conversion, I do want to note that we were all 5 stars. When we are looking at the model that we use to operate pre-K, so we have the connection between school, family, and community. That's how we gauge, and that's how we operate all of our programming in pre-K. So what does strong collaboration look like? So we have school and family collaborations, and that is when we have like orientations for family. We provide educational resources for them through all of our programming. We share expectations as well as opportunities for them to engage with the curriculum. We find that using the family, we assist them with using resources with their students, and we have a lot of communication. So we provide communication. We do monthly family engagement events. We have online and virtual opportunities for families, and then they're always welcome to come into the classrooms. School and community collaborations, we also share the learning expectations with the community, and many of our community partners, as I'll discuss later, afford us the opportunity to come to their different venues and have the families and schools share in those real-world experiences. And then we also have the family-community connection, again, bringing mentors in, tutors, and connecting families to the different resources that they need. Early literacy strategies. So we look at expanding the Birth to 5 initiative to increase the kindergarten readiness, because as we know, you can't get ready for kindergarten once you're already there. It needs to start before then. So we have trained all of our pre-kindergarten teachers and instructional assistants in letters for early childhood. We have implemented the state-approved science of reading curriculum, of which we were already using the curriculum even before the state decided that it was met the criteria. So we were ahead of the curve. We have our aggressive expansion of tuition, waived pre-kindergarten, access for all students. Again, we talked about the family engagement events, and then we have numerous community partnerships that provide literacy strategies and resources. For example, was Nationwide Children's Hospital is one of the partners that we do that with. When we're looking at the curriculum implementation timeline, you can see it. I won't read it to you, but you can see right here for the 24-25 school year, we're at stage 6, where we're looking at implementation with fidelity. So it is the expectation for all of our staff that they are implementing the pre-K curriculum, both Heggerty as well as pre-K on my way. Curriculum implementation support. So we have a suggested schedule for staff, but they still have autonomy to design their schedule as they see fit, as long as they incorporate the curriculum into it. We have curriculum pacing that we have outlined for the staff. Since we have the different classroom models, it's important that we have a pacing for half-day as well as full-day. And then we provide ongoing professional development. So in addition to the professional development days by the district, we have additional pre-K professional development days. What we're looking to do for future steps, we have created the ECE classroom look-fors, and then we're part of the Learning Walks tool. And then district level, we're looking to do quarterly look-fors and walkthroughs with that. So when we look at the most recent data from the KRA, we can see, which is the fall 2024 data, you can see that almost 50% of the students who attended pre-K are on track, compared to the district of the students who did not attend our pre-K, where 30% of the students were on track. And that's a continual trend, as you can see, over the last 4 years, where the students who attend the ECE pre-K program are outperforming the students who did not. And then I thought it was also important for us to look at other pre-K programs that are in Franklin County with similar demographics to us. So you can see here how we compare to Whitehall, Groveport, Southwestern, Reynoldsburg, Canal, and Hamilton. And then we also have the data comparison from fall 2023 of how we compare to the other Ohio large urban districts. Family and community. So as you know, family engagement is essential. We can't do it all alone. So it's important that we partner with our families. What do we provide with that? We provide exposure to enriching experiences. We equip families with tools to support their children's growth. All of our events are aligned with the board goals and guardrails, and empowering, so allowing them to participate actively in their child's education. Classroom partnerships. So one of the things that we do is all of our classrooms have the opportunity to do field trips. For some classrooms, going on a field trip is not always feasible, particularly our half-day classrooms, because they're only with us 2.5 hours a day in the morning, and then another group comes in for 2.5 hours in the afternoon. So when we're looking at field trips and busing, transportation is an issue. So starting last year, we decided that we would bring in learning experiences to the classroom. And so we have partnered to bring unique experiences into both our S&P and general education classrooms. And some of those partners are the fire department, the police department. We have a local author who comes in and reads, and then every student gets a book. Momentum, Ballet Met, we have Wiggle Jig, Jazz Arts, the Jumping Jacks. Franklin Park Conservatory also comes in, as well as COSI and the Columbus Zoo. So then, in addition to bringing the different community inside the classroom, we also sponsor community family engagement events. So monthly, we have our pre-K FACE event, which is virtual. So then that allows families who aren't able to attend in person to still benefit. And then we have, as you can see here, our pre-K family engagement opportunities for this school year. I have outlined them. So far, in September, we went to Grange Audubon for our kickoff. In November, we had literacy night at the Columbus Metropolitan Library. In January, we had art and ideas at the Columbus Museum of Art. This month, we are going to have STEAM All Around Us at COSI. In March, we will have a butterfly ball at Franklin Park Conservatory. In April, we will have Earth Day at the Columbus Zoo. And then our final event, which is the culmination of everything up for our program, is our Countdown to Kindergarten, which we have at the Fort Hayes. And then I wanted to share with you our family engagement satisfaction this year. So for the 3 in-person events that we had, we have a satisfaction rate of over 94% with our families. Funding. So if you look at our pre-K funding model, it is a braided model. For general education, it is comprised of Title I, early childhood education grants, both from the state, Early Start Columbus grant from the city, and general funds. I did want to express that there are some funding challenges, but those will be addressed in detail at the next Equitable Transparent Resource Committee meeting. And then lastly, our special needs preschool is funded through general fund and IDEA preschool. That concludes my presentation. And again, I would like to thank you for the opportunity.
Dr. Baker, thank you, Dr. Rivers, and the good doctor here, Dr. Walker. Thank you so much for this presentation, Madam Superintendent, Deputy Superintendent Mosier. Thank you for this presentation. I wanted to start the year off with having this discussion for a couple of reasons. As you all may or may not know, and we'll give more discussion and more description to what our governance model is as the Columbus City School Board of Education. I particularly want you to give very, very good attention to this, because our governance model is is based on a motto. It's based on a motto that student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. One of the ways in which we want to see that happen is how we actually continue these kinds of conversations here, not only at the board table, but in our committees. Our governance model is called Student Outcomes Focused Governance. And how we've been in alignment since we've adopted this over the past couple years now is we have taken on and created goals and guardrails, many of which you are familiar with, but we'll go over those in future time. And you'll become more, you'll actually get a chance to see how the dots connect to what we're talking about in any given one of our committees and meetings. Today, we're aligning this because this is aligned to academic achievement. One of the things that we want to share very passionately about Columbus City Schools is how our kids are actually achieving and starting their marathon race. And yes, public schools from pre-K to 12 is not a 100-yard dash. It is a marathon. It is a marathon for any of you who've ever run one, where you hit walls, where you question whether you can complete it or not, how you have to demonstrate the diligence, the patience, like Dad back there is, all the things that are necessary to make sure that that child not only finishes, but finishes optimally. You can see, based on today's data, we're beginning strong. And we're beginning strong also in partnership with our community. Today was a presentation that gives you a good idea about where our pre-K is, why we've taken the necessary steps as a board in partnership with the superintendent to expand it. So this is something that we're very seriously looking at continuing to grow throughout the city of Columbus in a way that we own it and master it. We own it as adults and master it as adults and help our children master the curriculum as well. Also, that comes along the lines of future opportunities for facilities and how do we accommodate? So if we're going to build these types of, stalwart institutions or schools within our institution, we're going to do that, right? We're trying to build stellar. Well, what does that look like? What kind of facilities are actually needed for children to excel in these spaces? What other accommodations do we have to consider in terms of staff? But that's more my good sister colleague, my vice president. Some of that will also go into her committee in ETRM. But the crux of what we're here to discuss is between not just facilities, but also how we're achieving, where we're not achieving. So it's the opportunity to have us have transparent conversation. But we don't come with anecdote. We come with data. We don't come with just stories. We come with facts that actually demonstrate where we are and where we aren't. So we're open-minded. This is a great conversation for us to begin to have. If you have any questions for our team, please, the floor is open to ask away. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thanks so much for the presentation. So, quick question, you mentioned the word busing, and so I wanted to have clarification on what the hours are for the pre-K program. I think you said half day, but what the hours are, and then also where are the 130 locations? Do you have a map that shows where they are across the district?
So busing is only provided for our special needs pre-K students.
Okay.
The hours of pre-K are from 9 to 3:30 for the full day programs, and then the half days from 9 to 11:30, and then from 1:30 to 3:30, or 1 to 3:30. And I have a list of all the locations, but I don't have, I can get that to you.
Geographically, and is it year-round or school?
It's school.
It's
They
only-
follow the school calendar.
Okay.
Yes, but we do offer summer experience currently, just like.
For
school.
pre-K?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question too.
Yes.
I just want to, as an educator, I am very impressed with the family and community, how collaborative you guys have been. I do also believe in the approach that all hands are on deck when it comes to our children. I also want to commend you for thinking innovatively and having that push-in model for those experiences, because, again, I think that those experiences are the foundation to having an open mind and being able to enjoy school, which is so important for so many of our students. And so with that, I did have a couple of questions. One, you already asked about the allocation. I am very curious about the allocation as we think about busing, just wondering where they are. And then the other one that I wanted to know is your piece for supporting students with special needs. I'm curious if that is a peer model kind of situation where students are in classrooms with peers without disabilities, and then you have a collaborative classrooms with ISs with gen ed teachers.
So, yeah, we have the full continuum. So we have inclusion classrooms, and now those classrooms will have the gen ed students and the special needs students in there. And then we have classrooms that are just special needs students. But depending on what their IEP requires will depend on their peer model or their integration and opportunities with peers. So that it's kind of decided like individually.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then my last question was, I'm very curious as the, like the track that they end up on. So I heard that they're like 50% when they, that they're doing well at the beginning, but have you tracked them a little bit longer to see how they're doing long-term, especially with students with disabilities? Specifically
I don't
learning
have that with me, but
disabilities.
I have looked at, we have tracked some of our students who have stayed with us all the way through third grade to see how they, or actually through fourth grade, just to see how they did on there. So I
Yeah.
can get you that.
I'm curious mainly because I'm just wondering how we can continue to like use that model that you have with all of those rich experiences and pushing in and making it so they enjoy school, to continue that so that, you know, the ultimate goal is graduation. How do we keep kids in school? Well, what you're doing is how we keep kids in school, in my humble opinion.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Robinson.
Dr. Baker, I want to thank you for this presentation. Thank you for your transparency. It was very illuminating. Mr. Chairman, you made a statement that you have a motto that children's behavior changes when adult behavior changes.
Outcomes change.
Oh, and
Adult
I'm,
behaviors change.
oh, yes, yes. And I'm here because of academic outcomes. That's why I'm sitting at this table. And these adults we're talking about, I want to make sure that we're including parents when we say adults, not just teachers. Parents' behaviors need to change. Parents have the greatest impact on a child's outcome, and we're talking pre-K. Also, I would like to know what is going on in engaging parents so that they can engage their children in reading.
Yes. So every family engagement event that we have, especially in person, we always incorporate literacy. So the parent, we give away books. We have the activities laid out, and then we model. So it's almost, the parents go around to stations, if you will, and at each station, they not only collect the resource, but there is someone there who shows them how to interact with their student with the resource. We also partner with the different venues we go to. They all have like an education program, and so they also have their employees there. They provide passes, free passes, and different things for families to return, to encourage them to continue to support and have experiences with their students. And there was one more thing you asked.
That was very good.
Oh, okay, so I answered it, thank you.
Any additional questions? Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for your presentation. Am I on? I want to thank you guys for your presentation today for pre-K. I do want to say I did attend last month's activity at the Columbus Museum of Art, and that was a really nice, I would say, event. Like you said, there are stations, everyone received books. That was really innovative of you guys. I really did enjoy attending that event. But my question is more in particular into staffing.
Yes.
So noted in the presentation, there is a need for, I think it said 8 special needs teachers. Special education is near and dear to my heart. Educating these children is imperative. So what, I would say, what are you guys going about, how are you going about filling those positions for those 8 special need teachers?
Yes. So we are partnering with our HR department. And one of the things that we were able to do, they advocated, so initially when they came out with the alternative licenses, they were just offering it for K-12. And so we kept pushing and kept advocating, and so we were able to get pre-K added on there. And so what that did is that allowed, like I talked, the substitutes to be able to pursue these alternative licenses. So hopefully, I mean, they're in the pipeline, they're at different stages because depending on what their backgrounds were and which program they went through. But so they're all pursuing that. So we continue to do that. And then we'll be at, next? The 5th and 6th, we have special needs job fair or special ed job fair. And so some of our positions will be listed there as well.
Okay. One more question. I did attend an IEP summit that was particularly at West High School, and that was for high school parents. Is there anything that you guys are going to offer for parents in particular regarding their IEP, just assisting them getting students tested as early as pre-K? You guys have anything coming in the pipeline to kind of assist parents in doing that process?
So we don't. That is a good idea, but we do partner with, what is the early intervention? I feel like, board member Adair.
No.
That's all right,
Well,
brain freeze.
It is a brain freeze, but
It's-
What was the?
While you're thinking about it,
not for the but with the 3-year-old, what is it called?
Dr. Baker, while you're processing that, I think one of the things that's
Did I
helpful.
do it? Is that why you pointed to me? Oh, I'm doing it?
Yeah.
I have it.
So I think one of the things to take under consideration, one of the things to take under consideration, particular to staffing, one is the difficulty in identifying that staff with
Right.
that specific type of training. That's the number one thing.
Correct.
When you're talking about the process of assessment for IEP.
Early
there-
assessment.
Absolutely, but there's a way in which that's legally carried out, whether that's the parent or whether that's the teacher who says that this child could be otherwise assessed. And then that in of itself is, at minimum, a 30-day process.
Correct.
So I appreciate and accept where you're going in terms of how do we think about, early anticipation of this? How do we think
Early
about the
evaluation.
possibility of finding services, particularly when we have more students who are coming to us in kindergarten with the possibility of autism? So
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you that tidbit while she processed.
No, yeah, you're
in a
fine.
second.
Thank
And we have a special needs pre-K department. And so families are able to, so Nationwide Children's Hospital often refers, Action for Children, Head Start, they refer families to us, and then there's a process, we have a whole team who does intake for that. So we do have that as well.
Okay, thank you.
But I do like the idea of what you said happened at West High School.
Yeah, because the IEP process, if you're familiar with it, it is tedious for the educators. Parents really lack awareness of that. And then also there needs to be an advocacy piece as early as pre-K for early evaluation, so we can already get those kids set up for
Absolutely.
success before they even head into kindergarten.
Before they even
But
head.
thank you.
And no problem. I did want to also add, we also have an MTSS process for internal. So the external, what I described to you usually is when people will call in who aren't already enrolled. But if we have students in our program already, and either the family or anyone who interacts with the child suspects that they have a disability, then we have a process for that too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else had a question? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a follow-up question. As you were talking about parent engagement, what are your engagements for our families who have English as a second language?
So they come to the same events. In
Okay.
fact, they probably have one of the higher participation.
Oh.
And what we do is we partner with our ESL department, and they provide interpreters for those events.
Thank you.
I was curious about demand. You hit on numbers, 2,100 seats about,
Yeah.
but it must be an application process. I don't need to go through all that, but just in terms of generally on an annual basis, what's the demand?
So right now, we only have one, including both special needs and typical, we only have 117 seats open.
Is there a waiting list behind that?
There are waiting lists at certain sites,
So when you open the enrollment up,
yes.
there are individuals in the community who want the service but can't access it.
No, everyone should be able to.
Special needs students, yes.
Oh, it's open to everyone.
So
Anyone can access, and we even have a priority enrollment process where, because it was found before, when Kelly Yusuf was the director prior to me, and it was found that our process wasn't as equitable. So now we have a priority process, so everyone is open to enrollment, and then based on if you have an IEP, different economically disadvantaged, then those students can get priority access to slots, and then that usually goes on from the April into July. And then in July, it opens up to anyone who didn't meet the priority enrollment. And then enrollment for gen ed pre-K goes until mid-March, and then for special needs, it never ends.
thanks.
Yes.
Kind of talking about that, about when sites get full, right? And it's, so we do have some sites that are full, and we do have openings in other sites.
Yes.
I think a lot of it's dependent upon whether or not a parent can get their child there, right? Because we don't do busing unless it's special needs.
Yes.
That's right. I would like to shift focus a little bit and talk more about the facilities and what the requirements are in a facility for a program like this. Understanding that, again, the Department of Education and Workforce is actually not the government entity that is regulating our pre-K. It is Department of, what are they now, Youth and?
Children and
Youth. Okay. So there are some different requirements that are needed. And back to your slide about the district, starting its first pre-K in 1990, we know we have buildings a lot older than that where we had pre-K. So when we're thinking about future facility needs, especially with the goal of the superintendent to provide universal pre-K, one, how many classrooms do you think we are going to need if we could do that? And two, what are some specific things that we need to keep in mind about the actual physical structure of a classroom that we might not otherwise realize that these younger learners need? And then one more, can you explain the difference between a pre-K program and daycare?
Okay, that's a lot.
I'm sorry.
A,
Okay,
B.
so I'm gonna start with the beginning, or what I remember to be your first question. So we currently have 130 classrooms, and we're servicing approximately 2,000 students, which is approximately half of the 4,000 incoming. So we would need to at least double that if we wanted to have the option for every, student who might go to kindergarten with us.
Well, that's true if we wanted to match our own kindergarten, right? But I think her goal is to be part of the universal pre-K solution. And we know that we do have partners in the space with like early or Head Start, and we have partners that are also helping us get to this goal.
Yes.
So the question was, how many classrooms would we need in order to do that, like in the city? And maybe you don't know the exact, but I hear what you're saying, to match our current kindergarten, we want it 1-for-1 for all students.
Right.
And I think we could probably get back to you. I mean, to your point, it's a collective approach. And so there's collective action to include the county that is invested in pre-K, Head Start, and many of those programs are high quality as well. We'd have to get with strategic performance to see if they can sort of crosswalk to get us, sort of a layout of if we know where all of our students are coming from in kindergarten. We certainly can look into that and see if we can gather that.
And, sorry, you made me think of a side question for you. When we were doing our tours of the buildings, there were sites where there was pre-K where early Head Start, and they were in our building.
They are. Yes,
Are you counting that in our numbers?
I am
Or is
not.
that separate?
that's separate.
Okay.
But I would say, when you're talking about facilities, I'm sorry, and what would be needed, what would be ideal, it would be for there to be a bathroom inside of those classrooms, because in a lot of our buildings, particularly our older ones, like you spoke about, we don't have that. And so that would be one of the major things that, in terms of facilities, that would be beneficial for pre-K.
And there are also regulations around the playground and things like that, so certain age requirements. So you want to make sure that we have the appropriate playground equipment, because that is also a requirement for licensing as well.
And they have to have a sink in the room, so just some of,
Different requirements.
yes. But we have been able to meet those requirements for all of the spaces that we have currently. The bathroom is not a requirement, but it is definitely beneficial.
Last question, no, because I asked the difference between daycare and pre-K, which I think is important to say, but when we are thinking about delivery of a model of education for this age group, do we know, is it better practice to have like a pre-K center where like Linden, where it's only pre-K in a building? Or is it better to have it where the little kids are also exposed to the bigger kids in an elementary type of a facility?
So I don't think it's either or. So I think I think both are needed, and both are beneficial. I know families in particular like to have all their children, if they can have all their children at one place, right? And that gives you a sense of peace if your child can be there from pre-K through 5 or pre-K through 8 or whatever model school it is. And then principals also like that. They can get them early and they can keep them. But there are, and I know you've toured Linden, there are definitely benefits and pros to having a whole facility dedicated to pre-K. Everyone there understanding what's developmentally appropriate, and how to meet the needs of the students. So again, I don't think it's either or, I think it's both.
A real quick difference between daycare and pre-K.
Yes, the difference between daycare and pre-K is school, right? It's education. The primary focus is on learning, academics, as well as social emotional. Daycare is childcare, so you're focused primarily on keeping the students safe and providing that care in lieu of the family. And so I think that those are the primary differences that I would stress, is that we are education. We are preparing students for school in pre-K.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. To that one thought that you had about the balance of either or, my son attended the Schoenbaum Center, and then he went there most of the day, and then a portion of the day he spent time with kindergarten students at Wyland Park Elementary. So I love those opportunities that he even had to be able to leverage use of one space that provided him that pre-K piece, but also gave him that kind of almost Montessori experience by being able to go next door and be with older children that actually helped him level up. He's somebody that learned a lot as a youngster by observation. So he saw other kids running, and before he really learned how to walk, he was running with the other kids. So, it's just an example of what I've been able to see. I had the opportunity to visit Linden as well. That principal over there is an absolute rock star.
Yes.
She is a rock star in that building. So thank you for the presentation. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a clarification on the data comparison where you have the non-CCS ECU. Once again, since I don't know all the 130
Yes.
locations, I think it's difficult. I'm trying to figure out, as you mentioned, Schoenbaum, as I'm thinking of all the learning centers across the city, and you mentioned Head Start, are those numbers, which side of
So
this?
Yeah, and so I was thinking about that to Board Member Adair's question. We need to look at it and disaggregate the data because quality matters when it comes to pre-K. What we're saying is that, you know, Dr. Baker mentioned all of our sites previously were 5-star sites, right? Now they're rated gold. And so when you look at that, but that's all CCS sites, that's what we're tracking, right? But the comparison, the numbers are considerably lower, but it's hard to tell with just the data that we have right now what that's comprised of. Because you could have some kids who are attending other pre-Ks who are doing extremely well, but you could also have students in that group who had no pre-K at all. And so it's getting lumped into one percentage of how students are performing. So we'd have to sort of work with our data team to see if we can disaggregate in that way to say, okay, what sort of experiences are students who are non-CCS pre-K students having? Are they having any experience? Like, do they have some pre-K? And if they're having pre-K, do we know the quality of those pre-K programs versus students that may be coming in that haven't had any pre-K at all? I imagine it's probably a mixed bag. You probably have a little bit of everything. So, but that's a meaningful question that I think we can look at. I'm not sure what our capacity is to track it, but we certainly can look into it.
But what we can say is regionally, when we look at pre-K services within Columbus City Schools, is that it's equitable and that our students are performing no matter what pre-K center they go to that we have at our site. So we have absolutely looked at the data and disaggregated our data when we look across regions to be able to see, is it equitable? Are we serving students equitably across the city? And we can say for certain that that is happening. But in order to be able to look at other students and whether or not they attended pre-K, we're working with our enrollment specialists because that actually has come up with the question before of whether or not they went to any other type of pre-K program. But what we can say, at least for Columbus City Schools, is that it's equitable and that our students are achieving across regions no matter where they go to school.
Can I ask one more question about that? So when you say CCS site, again, is that one we control or is it one in our building? So Linden, we are in partnership with 3, I think, or us and 2 others. Are we only counting like our classrooms, even though you walk in and it feels like a whole thing?
Yes, we are only, when I say CCS classrooms, they are enrolled in the districts, and they have a student ID. That's how we're able to track them.
All right. I think this has been a very rich discussion. Does anyone have any other questions or spaces where they want to get a kind of level set idea about where things are with pre-K? I appreciate the comments or the question too, parent engagement and involvement. I know that that's a space that we're continuing to demonstrate some measure of success, but it's also based on how many actually know about it and come to see it too. So thank you for that. With that, we'll move on to the next portion of our agenda. I know that Vice President Adair has to a hard stop at 7 p.m., which is a shared one as well, but this is the work that we need to do. I wanted to put out what date would make the most sense, what week would make the most sense for the possibility of changing our dates. So if we're looking in the month of March, does the 13th seem like a viable date? Moving forward, that second week of every month, starting in March on the 13th? Or would you consider the fourth week of the month? And I imagine that's fairly open.
Michael, I just want to point out that if we
Yes.
go the second week, then that puts basically every committee meeting in 1 week.
1 week, yes it does.
And could cause a strain on staff.
So I
And
have,
in March in particular, we actually, because policy's meeting, and that's only quarterly, but it is meeting, so that would be every day there'd be a committee meeting.
so I did have a conversation with Dr. Chapman about it. The key thing that I know she was interested in making sure was that we didn't schedule this on our actual monthly meetings for board, period. That we didn't do it during the board week. So that would be the first and third Tuesdays of, our meetings are the first and third weeks of the month. But I like to see if, and originally when we had this schedule like this, we actually had I had 3 committees in 1 week to attend as well. So for me, it makes sense. I'd rather get a lot of this out of the staff's way and give you the time to do the deliberative work to come back to us with data, should it be requested. It just makes more sense if that Thursday is open on the second week of the month. If folks can accommodate that time, I love to be able to accommodate that time. The challenge for both of us is that a Monday meeting comes in conflict with board training and development that we're actually doing right now and we'll be doing through the rest of the year. So I want to make sure that we get an idea of what works best for folks. So what works best? Are we thinking the second week on a Thursday, or are we thinking the fourth week, Tuesday through a Thursday?
And we have, Mr. Cole?
Yes, sir.
We have two, and I did a little survey. I didn't pull out the names of the people, but we have two people who can't do either Thursday. I'm not
Okay.
sure if those two people are in this room right now, because we have two people missing, but I want to bring that to your attention.
Thank you. So it's,
I
So-
prefer Tuesdays.
how does it,
I'm
so,
just pushing it out there for us.
okay, so a Tuesday could work,
I can never do Tuesdays.
okay? Tuesday is non-go for you,
But Thursdays, I would prefer the 4th. The second Thursdays, there's a lot of things at, at the schools.
doctors, how about you?
I can make any of those work.
Okay,
Same.
you can make any of those work?
I can't do Thursday.
You
The
can't
fourth
do,
Thursday. I have an outstanding commitment.
okay, so fourth Thursdays are a challenge for you. Can we tabulate, can we take count right now,
Okay,
Mr. Williams?
okay, so,
So we've got two people, okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 people who are absolutely flexible with any day available. Mr. Robinson cannot do the fourth Thursday, or any Thursday, is that,
Not the second one either.
okay,
That's where the North Linden Area Commission meets.
got you. Okay, yes, ma'am,
With the Thursdays.
okay, you're fine with the Thursday, so we have,
is there any way we can do this day and do it at an earlier time? If we was to back it up to, we have some meetings that start as early as 5:30. I don't know if that would work for you.
I don't know if that works for everybody else. I think that this, say that again?
It works for me.
Oh, it does, at an earlier time? So if it were a 5:30 time
Yes,
for a Thursday, that will work for you?
yes.
Okay, how are folks feeling about an earlier time at 5:30?
I'm going to say that as an administrator, that's not going to work for me.
Yes, ma'am, I know that schedule well. I know that schedule really well. Anyone else? Does 5:30?
Come on.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll look at the 5:30 start time. We'll look at the 5:30 start time.
And let me put that out there. We do have the option of Zoom while you're driving in, if that's a
That may work.
possibility.
That may work.
I don't know if that will work.
But it will only work, it only works in terms of lead up to attendance. But if it comes to a vote, you actually have to be present. By state law, you have to be present.
So I'm just being
And also for
transparent.
quorum.
I'm being transparent, and my transparency is that I cannot say that I will be here every time at 5:30.
Okay. No, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I don't think that needs to be an impediment for you. I think the Zoom lead up, coming in, and then establishing quorum, helping to establish the quorum count, I think is, your presence here and the value add that you bring is the most essential.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so now we got an earlier time at 5:30. What are we looking at in terms of date? You said Thursday is fine?
Yes, Thursdays are fine.
Okay, so we've got an earlier date at Thursday. Is this going to be the second week or the fourth week? I see you, thank you. Second week? Go on, second week. Go on.
How come we can't do the first week?
Fifth week.
Can we do
Lord have mercy, okay.
the first week of the month?
No. In the first week of the month, remember, it's a week that we actually meet as a board. And there's a great deal of work that goes into preparing for board meetings. So I want to make sure that we've got the weeks that are most free, which are the 2nd and the 4th. So by show of hands, who's available the 2nd week on a Thursday at 5:30 PM? 1, 2, 3,
I can make myself
4.
I may have to leave early,
Okay,
but
okay.
maybe for some.
All right. So it looks like then we'll go for the 2nd week on Thursdays of every month. So we will have our next meeting as a committee on March 13th, 5:30. Now, what I'd like to do is see if we can go ahead and vote on this. Is there a motion to accept this meeting time and date?
So moved.
I
Move.
second it.
All right, motion and second. Can we do call vote?
Okay. Alrighty. And Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Dr. Kellogg,
Yes.
Ms. Kinney,
Yes.
Dr. Levine,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Ms. Whitfield.
You're gonna have to give that a no. With my schedule, I like to look at my calendar. Moving this fast and making decisions doesn't feel right to me, sorry.
Okay. The motion passes. We have eight yeses,
1 no.
1 no, and three people absent.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question on the attendance, since we made a commitment, and as I said, I know already in the next few months, I will be leaving early, so I'll be maybe here for 30 minutes or 45 instead of the 90. How will that impact, and then I know with, I'm not the only person who's going to be missing the 90 minutes, how will that impact the meeting as a whole, is what I'm just saying.
I thank you for that question. So here's the first thing. One is, if you're here early enough to help us establish a quorum, one, we're able to convene our business as necessary. But two, what I like to continue to do is make sure that you're apprised, abreast of everything. Also, because we record these meetings, you have the opportunity to get any additional information you'd like. But I'm always available. I'm always available. Give me an email, and/or if you'd like to have my phone number, and, just give me a text and say, hey, Michael, what's going on with so-and-so? I'm more than happy to follow up that way, too. I am.
And where there'll be a problem with quorum, let's say, we're here, but like, as I said,
If you have to
in the
leave-
middle of the meeting, now do we go without having
Well,
quorum?
I think the earlier in advance I know certain things.
Okay.
The earlier I'm able to do the math is everywhere. The earlier I'm able to do the math, it actually helps me figure out how to put things, how to organize the meeting agenda, right? So if there's something that we actually have to cover that's important, that may be voted on to pass forward to the Board of Education, then perhaps that schedule can be arranged. So I'm willing, what I'm saying is I have every willingness to try and work with everyone here within the resources and time that we have available. And I also want to work to make sure that you are continually informed about what we're doing and that you have access to those resources as well. Yes.
Two other things to add. Obviously, you can zoom out, as you're on your way out, so if you need to raise your hand or participate. And also, these meetings are streamed live, so that I think there's a little, like a couple minute delay. But if you wanted to, like, on your way out, click on YouTube and listen in. So, but I think about the questions, like, that took place after our conversation today. If you need to raise your hand and ask a question, the chair could call on you to do that.
Is everyone comfortable with that? How does everybody feel about that? Okay, all right. Okay, since there is no other business before us this evening, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, if there are no nays or abstentions, if all are in favor, we may adjourn.